going on, ladies and gentlemen? BizzyDad here. You there, and you're feasting your eyes on the prize from this past weekend's ARG in New York. This is the top 8 playmat for the FoW Holiday ARG edition, and I'm going to pick the camera up so we could take a look at the detail because this really did come out nice. FoW logo here. This is 7 Kings holiday theme. So there is Prisia, and here is Faria with the Excalibur sword all wrapped up. Came out really nice. Arla is up here, dragging the Christmas lights around. Here is Melgus getting the facial from Rezard. Machina in the background here. No Maribel, but that's okay. Rezard with the book. Is that the Necronomicon? Over to Valentina. She is in her Santa hat as well. And if you look and pay attention to fit the theme, all the 7 Kings are around the tree, the world tree, Yggdrasil, instead of the Christmas tree. It came out really good. The ARG, ARG Circuit Series logo and the top 8. And actually, I made it all the way to the championship round. It was amazing. Fell just short in the finals. But hey, for our first time at ARG, getting to the finals is no problem. We'll just fix this a little bit. There we go. Top 2. All right, we'll take that. No, I'm just kidding. I would never change this mat. This mat was great. Almost grabbed the championship mat, but we fell a little short. No big deal. So I'm going to put the camera back down, and we'll go over the ARG with some notes and the deck I used to take care of business. All right, guys, we're back. Before we get into the ARG, just want to go over some notes and a little bit of backstory because I haven't put up a video in a while. First, I was able to get my hands on a couple of promos lately from playing in tournaments. The Small Assistant Maria Bella. This was the Halloween promo from a couple of months ago. This one came out really nice. Machina in the background with the witch's hat. That is cool. And this was especially cool because I only have 2 Maria Bellas, so good to get another one of those. And the Soul Hunt. Oh, this one is so good looking. Again, just from a tournament at a local prize was a promo Soul Hunt. So that was really good. Also, coincidence or not, it is pretty funny. Anybody who knows my Gil Lapis deck, somebody in the state of Ohio here in the US on eBay put up a pre-built deck for Gil Lapis control, and it was pretty much card for card my deck that I put on the channel. So if it was just a coincidence, how crazy is that? But if it was a somewhat of a copy, I am honored. By the way, it sold for $27, I think. So I'll just take 50%. No worries. You know what I mean? So, of course, that's a joke. It would be really crazy if it was a copy of my deck, but I just happened to come across it and thought it was funny. But anyway, let's talk about the ARG, which was a lot of fun. Now, I've never played in an ARG. I usually just play the casual tournaments and the regular games for fun. Definitely a more serious atmosphere. A lot of really good players. A lot of really good decks. So I wasn't nervous. You know, I wasn't there shaking in my boots or anything like that. But you could tell everybody came to play. Everybody came to win. But at the same time, they're all nice guys. And I have no complaints whatsoever. Mike Hartley came to the event too. And he also grabbed himself a top 8 playmat. So congratulations to him. So which deck was it? I was toying back and forth between 2, 3, 4 different options of what I wanted to build and what I wanted to use. And I decided to take the route of frustration, a little bit of complexity, and a little bit of confusion and reactionary. Big time defense, which is what I like to play. And it was Yggdrasil, the World Tree. So the top 4 decks. I lost in the finals to a really tough Xion deck. So congratulations to that player. I don't know who wants names mentioned, so I just won't mention any names. Xion won it. Really good control deck by Xion as well. So that was really good, really tough to beat. I had a hard time putting Xion away and ultimately just led to my demise. But Xion was in first. The tree, my tree, in second place. Mars took third place, and there was another tree in fourth place. So 2 trees in the top 4. That is really good. Have I personally single-handedly changed the meta? Have I put the tree back on top? Nah, probably not. But it was definitely cool to see the tree do so well, especially against so many other strong decks, powerhouse decks built to win fast. And I did not get to play the other tree. We were both in the semifinals. And after I had won my semifinal match, the people there was a buzz, I guess you could say. People were wondering if it would be tree versus tree for the championship. And it almost was, but wasn't meant to be. The Xi'an deck did a really good job handling both tree decks. My deck was a little bit different, excuse me, than the other tree deck. But again, congrats to everybody who placed in the top 8. It was great to meet new people and play against everybody. So I'm going to go over this deck quickly. I do have a profile to my original deck for this tree, and it's called the Tree Street Band, and I even named it that on the ARG forum. It's submitted and everything like that. So it is on file. It is on record. And I'll put a link to the original profile in the description below here. The deck has been changed somewhat because of the new cards in Frozen Casket and others that I've added to modify this deck for the ARG. So I'll just go over it really quick. If you don't know the tree, you might learn to hate the tree. It does nothing. It does not flip over. Has no abilities or powers. It just calls stones. The only effect it has is a global replacement effect. When you die, when you get to 0, you actually get to 100, and you get to go into your deck and hand for the Alice Resonator and the Excalibur Regalia, which then come onto the field, and you are down to your last stand. They're pain in the butt cards to get around, but they could be dealt with. And so really the key of the deck was trying to modify it to where you could find answers, because people have ways to get around Alice, to get around Excalibur, and to get right to you. And I was able to frustrate a lot of people. I was able to cancel and counter and prevent and basically counterpunch my way through it all. We ended up playing 7 rounds. The qualifier, regular season, I don't know what to call it, but that opening qualifying period was 4 rounds, and then the top 8 made the playoffs, and then top 8, top 4, and then championship. So I ended up playing 7 rounds, 7 opponents, and ended up with 10 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. So that is amazing. I'm so pumped at the result and really happy about that. So let me go into the deck really quick. This is a green and white deck. So we had 4 Magic Stone of Gusting Skies. I don't have all the stones down here. I don't know where they went. Oh, here they are. All right. So, live TV, sometimes this happens. So the 4 Gusting Skies, that gives us green and white. And then I just ran 3 white, and I ran 3 green. Captain Hook is a thing, and Captain Hook was there. I was able to answer it a couple of times, not every time. So that was a little bit unfortunate. But other than that, a pretty simple stone base. The 4 dual stones, and then green and white. 3 copies of Reflect. This is a shift card. This is the one that shifts over to Refrain. The 1-drop, 0 attack, 200, can't be targeted. This was very frustrating to people. They couldn't go after him with any spells or abilities. Flame King Shout was able to wipe him off the board a couple of times. I didn't run into Flame Trap at all, but a couple of Flame King Shouts got rid of him. If you get the 4 counters, you can shift him over. I'll shift real quick. Shifts over to Refrain. If you remove all 4 counters from Refrain, you literally nuke the board. You destroy all additions, Regalia, Resonators, and J-Rulers. And I was able to get this board nuke off a few times throughout the tournament. Was able to kill a couple of J-Rulers that way. Very frustrating. Resets the board and just put a lot of opponents slumped shoulders. Where there's nothing they could do to stop Refrain from nuking the board. So definitely a deterrent right off the bat. And also I'll say all the cards in this deck did their job. The main deck, every card was great at one point or another in the tournament. 4 copies of Bedivere. Bedivere was such a hero. A 3-drop, 700 with target attack. But when he comes in, he can remove a Resonator with 1,000 attack more from the game. So Bedivere was definitely taking care of business, getting rid of Guibers, the Flame Dragon of Altea, Drag, Celestial Wing Seraph. Bedivere did work. Bedivere was able to remove a lot of Resonators from the game. Also have a pretty nasty trick with Bedivere that I will show you once we get into those cards. This was one of the cards I added was Glorious, the Silver Knight, 3 copies. It's a quick cast, 3-drop, 2 light, and 1 other to play. When the card enters your field, destroy target J Resonator that dealt damage this turn. This was really strong, especially against J rulers with swiftness. Not specifically Sylvia. I ran into this once where Sylvia would flip over and she would deal her 1,000 damage. Now, whoever she dealt it to is fine. As soon as that damage went through, I would flash in Glorious and destroy Sylvia, which was amazing. If there was no Levitine or any other way to give her Imperishable, she was gone before she could really do anything else. This also helped with other big Resonators that were able to swing right away, or I would wait for them to attack and then block with somebody and then just flash in Glorious to kill them. So a really good addition. Did a good job. Guiber is still in here, 3 copies, not much to be said. A 12/12 flyer, and it's 2 less for every Resonator that you control that was put into the field that turn. So again, Guiber did his job or her job. I don't know if it's a girl or not. Speaking of girls, here's my girl, Alice. Ran 2 copies of her, 6-drop quick cast, but when you die, this is the Resonator that you go get. If damage would be dealt to you, it's dealt to this card instead. And again, another nasty card that I added to this deck to make Alice pretty much invincible if you don't have ways to deal with it. And we'll get to that later on too. Finally, for the Resonators, it's Yigdor, 3 copies. I'm going to show off my full art one here. Yigdor, 14/14. It's a 10-drop, but if your life is 100, you play it for free. So obviously, you're looking to have this in your hand when you quote-unquote die. Blocking does not cause this card to rest, which is amazing. It could just sit there and block and not rest. Definitely frustrating. Yigdor is not to be messed with. So that was it for the Resonators. We'll go into the spells. A new spell that, again, just a hero card. Dreams of Flight, a 1-drop. Sorry, trying to center this. Quick cast with Remnant. So you can do this at any time. And you roll 1 die. Target J Resonator gains +X/+X and flying until end of turn, where X is the result of the roll. And I can't tell you how clutch this card was throughout the tournament. In so many different ways. It's a great card. You might not think of it at first, and then all of a sudden it happens, and then you're in big trouble. I would use this on my Resonators and my opponent's Resonators. What? Why would you give your opponent's Resonators more energy? I'll show you that in a second. I used it on Yigdor once, I believe. My opponent had Resonators that were flying. So on his turn, he would attack. I would quick casting Dreams of Flight on Yigdor, who can now fly and block. Oh, I think there were fairies or somebody was flying, but it really wasn't that big a deal. But I just gave it to Yigdor, who just ate all the attacks and was not able to block. Was not able to rest. Doesn't have to rest when he blocks, so just definitely frustrating. Put it on Alice as well. Now, when the Excalibur Regalia comes out, she becomes 19/19, and to target her, you have to pay an additional 2, even you. So it really costs 3 to make her fly, but that was something I was able to do before my recovery phase. I would draw, pay the 3 stones to give Alice flying for the turn, and then roll the die, sometimes get a 3, a 4, a 5. She's swinging for 2,300, 2,400 in the air. Just really tough and just really frustrating. The trick that I had, which was really, really good, and I was able to get it off. I'm just going to use Glorious for an example. I was able to do this to Lucifer. An opponent had a Lucifer, and it was another one. I don't remember what it was, but they had 800 or 900 attack. So I would draw, and then before recovery, I would play Dreams of Flight on their Resonator, and I would roll a die, and just like Lucifer has 900 attack. So you put the Dreams of Flight on Lucifer, roll a die, give him a 2 or a 3. He now has 1100 or 1200 attack for the turn. I would then recover, call a stone, and then play Bedivere and remove their own Lucifer from the game. That happened. It was amazing that it worked out. If they don't have the cancel spell to deal with the Dreams of Flight or the Bedivere, they have no choice but to just watch their Resonator get removed from the game. So it was really clutch. I was able to do that once for sure. Twice. The second one might have been canceled once they realized what I was doing. But Dreams of Flight, such a clutch card, and it came in handy. Both sides. I really was happy with it. I'm glad I added it. Speaking of glad to add a card, it's 3 copies of Zero's Magic Light. Another quick cast. I was really focusing on the quick cast because I played defensively. A lot of times I would just call a stone and pass, see what my opponent was going to do. 2 drop, could do it at any time. Remove target attacking or blocking Resonator from the game. Just another great card. We play Mars and Sylvia, the fire decks that would play the Flame King Shout into the Flame Dragon of Altea for the swiftness. And I would let it happen. The dragon would come in, try to swing at me, and then I would just drop the Magic Light, and boom, the dragon's gone from the game. If Alice or Yigdor, one of my big Resonators, were swinging, my opponent tries to block to stay alive. Nope, I just play the Magic Light, remove the blocker from the game, and all that damage gets through. A couple of times that would be the game ender, and the game would be over. So great addition with Magic Light. The MVP card is Seal of Wind and Light. This another instant, 1 green, 1 light, and cancel target spell. This canceled so many summons, so many big spells. The Invitation of Disaster from Mars, Awakened for 11. This just cancels it. No sir, no damage through. Again, this is just the MVP card. One of the key cards in the deck, especially if you're playing defense. That's the one. Flak Jacket. 3 copies of it. Amazing card. It costs 3. Prevent all damage that would be done to added J Resonator. And this is what I was talking about before. I would get Alice on the field after I would die. And she is 15-15 with the Excalibur Regalia. She goes to 19-19. It costs 2 more to target her, but I always play with a lot of open stones. It would get to my turn. I would pay the 3 for the Flak Jacket. 2 more to add it on to Alice. And this is a game ender if you can't deal with additions. Because Alice says if damage would be dealt to you, it's dealt to this card instead. The Flak Jacket says prevent all damage that would be dealt to added J Resonator. So your opponent can swing at you for the world. All of that would go to Alice, who's got the Flak Jacket, and Flak Jacket says no damage gets done to Alice. If you can't get rid of the addition, if you don't have a way to make me banish a Resonator, it's game over. And no damage is going to get through to Alice, which means no damage will eventually get through to me. Nasty, nasty card. Actually got a lot of thumbs up from the judges for making some Vingolf 2 cards work. So thank you for that. Interdimensional Escape. 4 copies of it. Another instant. 3 drops, 2 light, and 1 other to play. Each player chooses a Resonator they control. Then each player banishes all other Resonators they control. This was huge against the Featsing decks that want to flood the board with the elves, get all those Resonators out there, wait for them to swing, wait for the first person to swing, drop this, they got to pick one and get rid of everybody else. Definitely a gut punch, and it definitely came in handy, not just against Featsing, a couple of other decks too that got some Resonators on the board. First Aid, 4 copies of it. I love this card. 4 drops, pretty expensive. 2 light, 2 other to play. It's an instant, can happen at any time. You gain 200 life for each Magic Stone you control. It's as simple as that. This is great late game, especially when I'm down to my last 100 life. People are chipping away at Alice. People are sacking Dark for a Domberly, trying to get the life loss direct to me to end the game. And then I would drop the First Aid and gain 1,600, 1,800, 2,000 life, depending on how many stones I have. Again, the deck is built to frustrate, and it did just that. Finally is the 1 copy of the Regalia, the Excalibur X. When this comes out, you can't be targeted by spells or abilities, so Scorn of Dark Alice, anything that says target opponent, target player, can't come after me. My Alice goes up to 1919, and again, if you want to target her, you have to pay an additional 2. The sideboard, really quick. Midsummer Night King Oberon, 3 copies. And I had this in an answer to Dark. I was scared, and actually this happened in the championship game. I was scared of only having Alice out on the field and my opponent putting a banish spell, like a Lucifer or a Recollection, some card that was going to make me banish, and I would have no choice but to banish my Alice. My thought was to have Oberon to hopefully draw him into my hand, and when that spell came through in response, because Oberon is quick cast, I'd be able to quick cast Oberon in and use him to be banished and then save my Alice or my Gwyber Yigdor, whoever I have on the board. I never had the chance to do that. When I was in those bad situations, I was just never able to draw into Oberon, which was a shame. I wanted to see if it would work. I think it would have if I had him in my hand, but did not happen. Final Forfeit, 4 copies of it. Really good card. Target J Resonator loses all abilities and cannot gain abilities until end of turn. This is something to slow down J rulers, especially with swiftness. Sylvia, if I don't have this, Sylvia is a great example because she's so strong when she flips over. She's got the flying, she's got the swiftness. So if I don't have the Glorious in my hand, I think I did this to Mars too because there was a Levitine on the board. As soon as they flip over, I would just drop the Final Forfeit. You can't stop the enter effects, but anything after that with swiftness, they can't attack. They no longer fly. It's good to strip them of their symbol skills too, and deal with them as necessary. Heavenly Gust, 4 copies. This is a really good card. Didn't really come into play much. I put this in the sideboard because I was afraid of a Regalia Heavy 0 deck, which I did not see, fortunately. And it says it's another quick cast, 2-drop, destroy target edition or Regalia, but it has the Torrent. So as long as it's the second card played, you destroy all editions and all Regalia your opponent controls. So it was in the sideboard just in case. Really good utility card. But again, didn't have the opportunity to come up. So at least it was there. I guess better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Protection of Seraph. I ran 3 copies of this to replace the Flak Jacket. And this was to be in response to blue spells like Water Transformation Magic and Separation of Body and Soul, which I did get hit with. And that was really surprising. Like, I planned for it, and then I was surprised when I got hit with it. Because they're only 1-drops, and if you target Alice, it's just a 2 more. And Alice is 1919 with the Excalibur. So somebody was able to destroy my Alice for just 3 because they played the 1-drop Separation of Body and Soul, which destroys a Resonator that has a different attack or defense than its printed one. That was crazy. So I would have to sideboard out for Protection of Seraph, get that on Alice, and now you can't attack or target her. So it did happen, and I'm glad I planned for it. Finally, in the sideboard was 1 more copy of the Excalibur X. In the event, I came up against a dark deck that would make me discard or Nameless Mist, a card that lets somebody look at my hand and then choose a non-resonator and then discard it. And this would definitely be one of the ones that they would discard if given the chance. So guys, that is it. Sorry if it's a little long-winded because I already went over this deck profile before. But the World Tree did the job. Got to the championship in the ARG. Fell just short. I'm sorry, guys, but you know what? We'll take second place. We'll take a top 2 first ever shot in there. So let me know what you think below. Send me a comment. Like, share. Please subscribe. This is a big week coming up. I got deck profiles to put up before the Legacy Lost set, which my box is on the way. So we're going to get a box opening for you guys too. So let me close it out by saying thanks again to everybody at the ARG. Congratulations to everybody who placed. Shion, you won. Congrats. I'll get you again in the future. And to all my subscribers and everyone watching, thank you for a few minutes, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.